Adam Bruce Thompson, The Quiet Path. Welcome to this online tour of the exhibition Adam Bruce Thompson, The Quiet Path. At the City Art Centre in Edinburgh. This exhibition brings together over 100 artworks by the Scottish artist Adam Bruce Thompson. These artworks have been selected from public and private collections across the country. Including loans from the National Galleries of Scotland, the National Library of Scotland, the University of Edinburgh, and the Royal Scottish Academy of Art and Architecture. It is the first ever major retrospective exhibition on Thompson to be held in a public gallery. Adam Bruce Thompson was one of the most quietly impactful artists of his generation. Born in Edinburgh in 1885, he was among the earliest intake of students to train at Edinburgh College of Art. He went on to teach at the college for another 40 years, inspiring and supporting successive cohorts of students. In his own artistic practice, Thompson worked across a range of media, mastering various printmaking techniques, drawing in pastels, and painting in oils and watercolours. His subject matter was similarly diverse, spanning portraiture, still life, architecture, and landscape themes. A keen understanding of composition and colour underpinned all his work. During his lifetime, Thompson served as a dedicated member of several artist-led organisations. He exhibited widely and was well respected by his peers, receiving an OBE in 1963. Working alongside artists such as William Gillis, Anne Redpath, Robin Phillipson, and William Wilson, he became a key figure within the group known as the Edinburgh School. Yet, despite his many talents and achievements, Thompson was a modest individual whose understated manner often denied him the spotlight. This trend continues to have consequences. Thompson's name is relatively unknown compared to other artists associated with the Edinburgh School. Since his death in 1976, his contribution to 20th century Scottish art has been largely unrecognised. This exhibition charts Thompson's extensive career. From his early student compositions to the evocative landscapes of his maturity. It traces his stylistic development and celebrates his creative versatility. It also examines his important role as a teacher, mentor, and friend to other artists. The exhibition re-evaluates Thompson's significance, bringing him back to wider public attention. Adam Bruce Thompson was born and raised in Edinburgh. He demonstrated artistic talents from a young age. And attended evening classes as a teenager at Heriot-Watt College. In 1903, he enrolled to study architecture at the Trustees' School of Art on the Mound. Although he proved a diligent student and skilled draftsman, his ambition to pursue architecture as a career was gradually overtaken by his love of drawing and painting. For several years, Thompson trained simultaneously in both disciplines. In 1908, Edinburgh College of Art was established, providing the city with a modern, purpose-built educational facility for budding artists. Teaching at the Mound transferred to the new institution, and Thompson was one of the first students to graduate there. He received his architecture diploma in January 1909, followed by his drawing and painting diploma later on that year. Afterwards, the college awarded him 2 travelling scholarships, which enabled him to undertake sketching tours around England, France, and Spain. Thompson produced this self-portrait shortly after completing his studies. By this time, his sights were firmly set on becoming a professional artist. In October 1910, Thompson was appointed to the teaching staff at Edinburgh College of Art. He remained a tutor there for 40 years, teaching a variety of subjects from elementary drawing and colour theory to etching and still life painting. He emphasised the importance of traditional techniques and had a reputation for exacting standards, but he always encouraged young talent. Thompson played a particularly influential role as the college's etching instructor. His etching classes were highly popular with students, who appreciated his technical skill and supportive tutoring style. He spurred on the next generation of artist printmakers, inspiring figures like William Crozier and William Wilson. Edinburgh Canal Basin is one of Thomson's own etchings. Dated to about 1913, it shows a view of the Union Canal near Gilmer Place. The location is close to where the artist grew up. Like most of his colleagues at Edinburgh College of Art, Thomson balanced teaching duties with the development of his own artistic practice. He focused mostly on etching and lithography during the early stages of his career. The outbreak of the First World War brought major changes to Edinburgh College of Art, with many tutors and students leaving to enlist in the armed forces. Thomson served with the Royal Engineers between 1916 and 1918. He was posted to the Western Front and lost a number of close friends in the conflict. He recalled his wartime experiences in a series of ink and wash drawings, some of which he later developed into lithographic prints. Many of these compositions depict soldiers labouring on the construction of pontoons and suspension bridges, work that enabled military advancement. Individual figures are often represented as stylized silhouettes in these images. After the war, Thomson returned to Edinburgh and resumed his teaching duties. In 1918, he married Jessie Inglis Hislop, the sister of his friend and fellow artist Walter B. Hislop, who had died in the Gallipoli campaign. The newlywed couple set up home in the Marchmont area of Edinburgh. They had 3 children over the next few years. Throughout the 1920s, Thomson regularly sketched his wife and young family. This pastel drawing portrays Jessie resting outdoors, accompanied by one of their infant children. The delicate interplay of sunlight and shadow across the 2 figures adds a particular tenderness to this peaceful scene. Family life also inspired Thomson to explore domestic interiors in his art. During the 1920s and 1930s, he produced various still life paintings, featuring vases of flowers and other household items. The most complex of these artworks present objects against the backdrop of a window, through which landscapes are shown stretching out beyond. These compositions subtly blur the distinctions between still life and landscape genres. This example, entitled From My Bedroom Window, was exhibited at the annual exhibition of the Royal Scottish Academy in 1929. It was subsequently purchased for the nation by the Scottish Modern Arts Association. In the early 1930s, Thomson undertook several holidays with his wife and children to the village of Tainault in North Argyll. The family were joined by the artists D.M. Sutherland and Dorothy Johnston. Former teaching colleagues of Thomson, whose own children were of a similar age. These shared vacations involved outdoor pursuits like walking, swimming, and picnics. They also provided opportunities for the artists to find fresh creative inspiration. The Road to Ben Cruachan is one of the oil paintings that resulted from these trips. This evocative canvas captures the dramatic scenery surrounding Tainault. As well as the changeable weather conditions. Strong sunlight illuminates the foreground, while menacing clouds loom overhead, casting the mountain into deep shadow. Like many of his colleagues at Edinburgh College of Art, Thomson was interested in modernist trends in contemporary art. During the 1930s, he experimented with the stylistic principles of Cubism, combining these avant-garde influences with more traditional subject matter. This painting comes from a series of monumental Edinburgh views by the artist, which feature geometric cubist forms and an expressive treatment of light and shade. The historic architecture of Edinburgh's crowded Old Town is overlooked by the expansive shapes of Salisbury Crags and Arthur's Seat on the horizon. Thomson lived in Edinburgh all his life and regularly portrayed the city in his work. The quiet suburb of Colinton was an area he often painted, finding plentiful inspiration in the residential streets, churches, bridges, and woodland paths. This winter scene centres on the Colinton New Bridge Viaduct. Which spans the water of Leith Valley. In all weather conditions and changing seasons, Thomson delighted in capturing the atmosphere of his immediate surroundings. As the artist's children grew up, he increasingly employed them as models in his paintings. This composition shows his youngest daughter, Mary, curled up in an armchair. The portrait was reproduced in the Daily Record in 1936. Publicising the opening of the Society of Scottish Artists annual exhibition. Thomson continued to develop his practice as a portrait painter over the next few years. During the 1940s, he received several prestigious commissions, including 2 portraits of the philosopher Norman Kemp Smith. for the University of Edinburgh. After the Second World War, Thomson devoted much of his time to painting in watercolours. This medium required little equipment or planning compared to oil painting. Enabling the artist to respond to landscapes more spontaneously. Painting outdoors, in direct contact with nature, he seemed to find a new spirit of freedom. In 1946, Thomson was elected as a full member of the Royal Scottish Academy, a promotion that signalled his growing status as a leading figure in artistic circles. A few months later, he mounted his first ever solo exhibition, which consisted entirely of watercolours. Compositions such as this one, entitled Stormy Sea, typified the lively, elemental quality of his practice in this area. Thomson retired from teaching at Edinburgh College of Art in June 1950. He remained closely involved with the college, joining its Board of Management and Adjudication Committee for the award of diplomas. He was similarly committed to artist-led societies, serving as Treasurer of the Royal Scottish Academy and President of the Royal Scottish Society of Painters in Watercolour. In 1963, he was awarded an OBE in the New Year Honours List. Thomson still found time to paint, making regular trips into the countryside in search of inspiration. This location on the River Tweed, near the Lowood estate at Melrose in the Scottish borders, was somewhere he often returned. Wester Ross in the Northwest Highlands was another favourite painting destination. This area is known for its spectacular mountains, coastal sea lochs, and remote settlements. Thomson was probably encouraged to visit by artist friends like D.M. Sutherland, who recommended the village of Ploughton. He found the community welcoming and enjoyed walking in the vicinity, discovering new vantage points around Loch Carron. Palm, pampas grass and Duncraig is one of Thomson's most celebrated Ploughton landscapes. The painting was unveiled at the Royal Scottish Academy in 1967. It was purchased for the City of Edinburgh's art collection shortly afterwards. Thomson continued painting and exhibiting into his early 90s. In 1965, he and his wife moved to a house near Blackford Hill, in the south of Edinburgh. The location offered panoramic views of Arthur's Seat, a city landmark that became increasingly prominent in the artist's work. He depicted the hill and its environs repeatedly, never tiring of the subject. In 1976, one of these paintings, entitled Rising Moon, Arthur's Seat, won the inaugural William J. Macaulay Award at the Royal Scottish Academy. Judges considered it to be the most distinguished work in the show. This smaller watercolour conveys the same sweeping vista. Thomson died in December 1976, at the age of 91. Records indicate that he left a substantial body of paintings, drawings and prints, only a small proportion of which has so far been traced. His material legacy is significant, but his influence is perhaps greater still. As an inspirational teacher, dedicated colleague, and loyal friend, his contribution to Scottish art endures. The exhibition Adam Bruce Thomson, The Quiet Path, runs at the City Arts Centre in Edinburgh until the 6th of October 2024. It is accompanied by an illustrated book on the artist, written by Dr. Helen E. Scott, with a foreword by Sir Alexander McCall Smith.